Good morning, good morning. It is a muggy, warm Texas summer morning. It's kind of foggy and very muggy, and it's gonna be hot, hot, hot. So I'm trying to get out here early. It is, what is it? Is it the last day of July or the first day of August? Anyway, it's somewhere around there. And these gardens are looking very spent and tired and weary. I mean, my squash are pretty much done-ski. And the grass is getting out of control. The okra are going nuts. It has been raining. And so I haven't been out here to harvest anything in days and days. I mean, look at the size of this okra. It's going to be way too big to be nice to eat. It's just monstrously huge. So my goal today is to start preparing the garden for a full garden. So I need to take out a lot of these crops that are done and spent. I need to prune back my peppers. I'm going to be doing a bunch of composting today. So it's just honestly it's kind of a satisfying job because you look back and see all that you've done and taken out and cleaned up, but it's a hot, sticky, messy job. And the weather has been so uncongenial that I have been thinking, oh, I must get out and do that. But this is the bad thing about having central air. I didn't have this problem in Australia because we never had the luxury of central air. But right now, when it's really stinking hot and unpleasant, it's so tempting just to stay inside and think, oh, I've got this job I can do inside and that job, but really this garden needs attention. So we are sucking it up. We're just going to embrace the pain and the discomfort, and we're going to try and get some of this work done today. So I thought first I'll do a little confession of how terrible everything looks, and so we can see the before and after. It's all overgrown. The grass is just incredibly long. So some of these things I may not take out, like for example, we still might get some more eggplants. I haven't harvested anything in multiple days because of the weather, but it needs a big cull. So I think I'm going to pull out these cucumbers. The sunflowers that are spent, the corn is done, and just give it a really good tidy up and remulch when necessary. I don't even know how far exactly I will get today because we're just going to see what we can smash out in a couple of hours of hard work before it gets too hot, and then we might have to come back again this evening and we'll just keep working away at it. I'll leave things that, for example, these sweet potatoes, they don't mind the heat. I'll leave the okra and I'll cut off all the big ones and feed them to the chooks. Some things, the chooks are going to get a feast today, so they'll be happy. And I am going to compost a whole bunch of this as well. Now, the next thing, of course, when you're tackling a really big project is, and I have been feeling this pressure for days now, is like, hooly dooly, like where do you start? Because it just feels overwhelming. So I guess you just got to pick a bed and just go. I'll quickly show you this too. You may or may not remember that if you've been watching here for a while, that in this back area where I ran the chickens last winter, it wasn't broken down enough to be a good garden bed, but I wanted a cover crop in there. So we've put cowpeas and there might be some Mississippi pink eyes, mainly cowpeas, and a bunch of okra, and it has taken off. It's like a field of okra and cowpeas. So really we need to harvest in here as well. The boys are just doing Doing the chooky lookies. Grab that bit of bread, Zion. Good job, buddy. They're busting to get out of there. So, hey, Ty, have the chooks figured out to lay in those boxes? Yeah. The new boxes? Excellent. I was just thinking I might go do the ducks really quick because otherwise I'm going to get into the swing of it and not want to stop. Fresh grass. Come on. Come boy. Come on, duckies. There we go. Some food, I'll get your water. Get your water? There you go, little ones. There you go, babies. Okay, have my wheelbarrow, have my back pocket pruners, and I think I might need these guys for a couple of things. Some of those bigger ones have really woody stems, so got those just in case. I'll put them in here. I think I'm going to start in this little raised bed. I just feel like if I bite something off like that, that's not monstrous, and I can get that done, I will feel better. I'll feel like, oh, okay, one thing checked off the list. So what I'm actually going to do, there's actually quite a lot of peppers on these. Oops, camera angles. Peppers on these that need harvesting. The basil has gone to seed, but I'm going to cut everything back really hard. So there is a lady, I cannot remember her first name, but she is a Texas gardener, and she has an Instagram and I think a YouTube channel called All About Gardening or All About the Garden. She's in Texas. I'll find it and put a link below. But I think she's more Central Texas. Anyway, she puts garden tips up, and she was saying that if you're in Texas or one of these southern states, you can, at this time of year, hard prune back your peppers, and they will come back and give you a really good full harvest. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to not pull them out or anything like that. I'm just going to prune them back, take off any fruit that's existing there right now. Some of this stuff needs to come out. It's spent. There are some weeds, and we have to do some repairs, which may not happen today, but our raised bed needs some support, which we kind of knew that would happen. We banged it together, but we will we'll make sure we get that fixed before I plant in here the next round of crops. So I'll start here. That's my plan. Just found this old seed tray, so I'll use it to put the peppers in that I find. I'm just going to pick all of them whether they're really ready or not, because I'm going to prune it back so much. She said basically you prune it back about 2/3. So we're going to be pretty brutal. All right, and I'll chop this up a little bit before I put it in the wheelbarrow, because this is all going to the compost. think I need to clean these pruners. They're kind of sticking. Probably from when I was cutting okra with it, I reckon. Well, that seems to be going okay. So I'm going to keep going through this bed and see how quickly I can get it done. This morning, knowing that there are so many mozzies right now. They're mosquitoes. They're really bad. So I went for jeans and boots, even though it's quite hot and muggy, to protect my poor little ankles from all those mozzie bites. And slathered my arms and neck and everything in peppermint oil and coconut oil. And so far it seems to be working. So there are just all this water, all this rain. The mozzies are thick and rather unpleasant. But the peppermint oil seems to be doing the job. Well, she's looking pretty bare now. I've pruned back the peppers, taken out all the old eggplants. We've got this full of peppers and a few little okras that we'll take into the kitchen. Left a few things, and we'll top this up with some extra soil and mulch it so that it's good to go. But we won't be getting to that part today. The kids have been mowing and whippersnipping while I've been cleaning in the garden. It's not whippersnipping here.
Weed eating.
What do they call it?
Weed eating.
Weed eating. Sorry. Weed eating. We call it whippersnipping. Anyway, look what they found. There's been a sneaky little hen coming over here in the long grass next to this pile of materials and laying eggy waggles.
At least we can do an experiment later.
We'll have to float them, won't we? Yeah. We'll have to float test them and see if they're any good. Have no idea how long they've been there. Raised bed 1 is done. Raised bed 2, we did a big cleanup. The boys have mowed. It looks so much nicer. Still got a lot to go. It's nearly 9:30 and time to go in and feed my people. I did make a French toast casserole last night that one of the kids stuck in the oven, so makes breakfast nice and easy. But we'll go have that. I'll get them sorted. And I don't know, it's actually not too hot. I am kind of surprised that it hasn't got hotter yet. But anyway, I'll probably... look, we got all these beds to go, all down the side, all this bed. We got a lot left. So it's going to take me longer than I always think. I'm going to be quicker than I am. Does that happen to anyone else? I always think, oh, I'll knock that out. No worries. And then it takes me longer. So I will probably come back out later this afternoon and we'll just have to keep pottering away at it. And it is nice to see the beds tidy as I go, but I'm really starting to think about and get excited about planting a fall garden. And I've been reading up on fall gardens in Texas, trying to get myself, in the know a little bit about what I'm doing. So the next exciting thing is to plan that. And I have had a couple of beautiful people send me seeds. So I am very excited to try those, as the weather cools off, which it's not doing just yet. But I know I've got to do this prep work now so that I'm not chasing my tail later on. So anyway, I will go inside and have brekkie with my kiddos. You see that little squash bug on there? I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that squash bug to the chooks. Or if it'll fall off before I can get him there. Here, girls, I got a treat for you. Come get it. They've been getting garden produce all morning. You're having a little smorgasbord, girls? Little smorgasbord? There's some squash bugs in there if you look hard enough. Yeah, there is. Probably a few of them along there. So I've brought the wheelbarrow out here. We're slowly building this compost bay, but this one has gone crazy. It is just a weed fest. So just got my work cut out for me. So much needs doing. There's always so much needs doing in the garden, but I feel like right now with the summer heat and the rain, the weeds and the crops have just gone. So I'll chuck this on here. Hello friends, it's a couple of days later and I am coming to you hot, drenched in sweat and dirt and grime, red as a beetroot, finishing, well, I'm not even finishing, but continuing to work on just cleaning up this summer garden. And I've been having all these thoughts as I go along that I wanted to share, but I'll show you what I've done so far. So I did pulled out pretty much everything in this bed and in the one inside. Hang on, we'll go over here. And I'll share it with you in a minute, but I was thinking all these thoughts about, yeah, this is what gets you through. And then I had one of those circumstances that really challenges your thinking. I'm like, how much do you mean what you're saying, girly? But so I did this bed here. I've left the basil and pruned it right back, and I've left the peppers and I've pruned them right back, and I've left the okra. There's a couple of green onions that we'll harvest pretty soon, but everything else has come out and I've remulched it. Now what happened was I was collecting mulch in this little wagon. This is my third load. I'll probably need maybe one more to finish off that bed on the inside there over near the chickens. And as I was coming through, so the mulch piles are way out there, and I was coming through the gate and thinking about the morning, thinking, you know, it's so hot, but I'm so glad to be getting this done. And as I came through the gate, this was sitting here, and it kind of fell down to the side, got hooked on the gate post and cracked the handle. This is our only pitchfork. We've just been sharing it. I'm like, we cannot have a pitchfork go down right now. We can't, that's not good. We got too much to do when we've only got one pitchfork. So I was so frustrated in that moment. I was just like, ah! And I'm like, now hang on, what were you just saying a minute ago? And do you truly mean what you were just saying? So I'm just going to take a moment, sit on the swing with my little Padawan here. And I've been stopping regularly for water because it is really hot. But I was thinking because it's, you know, it's pretty gross out here. It's supposed to hit 100 degrees today. I'll have to figure out what that is in Celsius, but it's pretty warm and it's uncomfortable and it's hot, and you know, like, look at my face, I'm like bright red. And I was just thinking about how, you know, I have had thoughts go through my mind in the last week or so. Are you full on faces? About, oh, it's so hot, so much easier to stay inside in the aircon. I've got 100 things I could be doing in the house. There's so much to do in there. There's never a shortage of work. Maybe I'll just focus in there. But this needs doing, like it really truly needs doing. So we're wrapping it up. We're nearly at the stopping point. Not because we're finished, but because it's getting too hot. So done this side of this fence, finishing off this side, and I'll just show you. There's actually a section where I ran short of wood chips, and I could go out there and get another load, but it's so hot. The boys are helping me, and we're just putting some grass clippings down on top of some cardboard to finish that little section off. So what I was musing to myself as we are working on this hot day, the light is terrible, sorry. It's getting towards the middle of the day, so it's the light's not great. But I was thinking about how I'd much rather be inside, and you know, we all would in the air conditioning, right boys?
Yeah.
Rather be inside. But we have a goal of growing our own food, and we live in a place where the summer is quite hot and not a lot of fun sometimes to be outside in the middle of it. But we've got to keep our goal in mind, and my goal for this coming autumn is to have food growing. And what? Oh yeah, we do have a lot of food growing in here, don't we? Okra and cowpeas.
And this just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, I planted it there, but it's come up. So in order to, sometimes we make the mistake, I think, and I do the same thing, of thinking to myself that my actions determine my outcome. That if I get out in the garden and work, then I'll have a full garden, which is true. But it's only part of the truth, because the reality is our thoughts create things. And before I can take the action of getting out in the garden on a 100-degree day, which it is today, and working, sweating, being uncomfortable, I first have to do that in my head. I first have to fight the battle of, no, it's not about how I feel today. It's about my goal in autumn of being out enjoying the cool breeze and gardening when the temperatures are nice, and enjoying harvesting food and having my hands in the soil and seeing the kids run around on the grass and the garden's all prepared and well kept. That's my end goal. So what I have to do first is think the right thoughts that lead to the right actions that lead to the goal that I've set myself. And if I spend the whole time going, oh, it's so hot and it's uncomfortable and I've got so much to do in here, like, I determine, you know, my outcomes by what I choose to let myself think on. And it really is easy on a day like this to think about, this is yucky, I want to go inside. If we know that thoughts create things, Proverbs says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So I need to be thinking the right thoughts first. And then it's so much easier. It's so much easier if my end goal is like, think about autumn, think about fall, think about how nice it's going to be out there. That helps. But then you get challenged by the things like busting a pitchfork handle on your way through the gate and wanting to be mad about it. And, oh, that's not fair. I'm working so hard and this bad thing has happened, which, you know, in the scheme of things, it's not a super bad thing. But just not a helpful thing for us in this time. I can like choose to let that ruin my day, or I can gather my thoughts and rein them in and go, no, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go to negative land. I am so grateful for what we got done today, and in typical me fashion, I thought I would be getting this whole garden done a lot sooner than I did. We've still got this bed to do, and the boys started on the corn, but they've done that end. We've got to do this end. Got to do that bed. I'm not sure, I don't remember if I showed this earlier, but I did do both these raised beds, so they'll need a bit of chopping up and mulching, and we've done this one. So it's going to take longer than I anticipated, which again seems to be the story of my gardening life. But there you have it. That's our day. We are hot and tired and definitely ready to go inside at this point. So thanks for hanging out with us and my crew on this hot Texas day. Little jumper. Hey, I see you. On this hot Texas day and listening to my ramblings. We appreciate you being here. I hope wherever you are, you get to push through the hard stuff today to reach your goals. And we'll see you on the next one. Sunshine and raindrops. Until then.